Thank you. Yeah, well, so the live streaming is on. Welcome to everyone here. Don't have any attendances or apologies, should I say. We do have attendances. We don't have any visiting councillors, but all the committee members are here. So, yeah, no apologies or leave of absence. Can I call for someone, please, for item 3, confirmation of the minutes? Thank you, Councillor Fowler, and seconded Councillor Tozer. Oh, we do have a visiting councillor, Councillor O'Neill. Thank you very much. Always lovely to see you. And we'll take the vote on the minutes. All those in favour? That is carried. Thank you. The forward planning schedule, it's 5.1. I guess that could have been started, really, couldn't it? But yeah, so can we have a mover for that? Councillor Tozer, seconded Councillor Marshall. Thank you. All those in favour? That is carried. We now go into, we've got 2 open session reports. We've got 3 closed session reports. The first open session one is 6.1, which is the Female Changeroom Facilities Program. Alton and Paul are coming out. Yes, and I think we'll just go with any questions you might have, rather than a presentation as such. So if anyone does have any questions. No. So I had my question answered. You did? Okay, all right. So, unless there's anyone who specifically feels they need a presentation, but I think we've probably all met individually and had a bit of a rundown on this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So there we go. Well, if there's no questions, does anyone? Thank you, Councillor Gates. Councillor Gates is happy to move it. Councillor Fowler to second the motion. Wonderful. Okay.
Because this is just fantastic that we're able to provide some amenities for the groups that are identified in the report. I think there were 8 of them from memory, and in Division 3 there's one club in particular that actually has no facilities at all. So this is very welcome, and of course the rise in female participation in all areas of sport has been phenomenal, and this really delivers for the women in our community that have taken up sport. So I'm very, very happy. Thank you.
Yeah, well said. Well said. I think everyone's nodding in agreement. So,
and the officers were brilliant. Like at our on-site meetings, thank you so much, because they were really helpful to the committee members, and I'd like to say that the volunteers are so important to us in managing the clubs right across the Gold Coast, and it's getting harder and harder for people to spare the time to allocate for their volunteering, and the officers were just fantastic in assisting in every way they could with the questions and the scope of the projects and varying wherever possible. So thank you indeed.
Yeah, yes, here, and here, there, and here, there, and everywhere. So thank you, gentlemen. Yes. So thanks, Paul. Thanks, Elton. And all right, I don't think anyone wishes to speak against. No, that's good. All right, in which case we will take the vote. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. So we will now move to item 6.2, Brand Gold Coast. This is really exciting because it's the first time that Brand have actually come in to present to us. And we've got our CEO, Todd, and we've got Mel. And has everyone met Mel? Mel, our chair of the board? Yeah, yes. Wonderful. Oh, and Emily's there handing out all sorts of Christmas goodies. Yeah. Nice glossy brochures. Thanks, Emily. They're very nice, these. We might have to put them on our register, I think. They're, yeah, they're beautifully done. Beautifully done. Oh, Mel, you're going to, okay, you're going to kick off.
Is that
Yeah.
okay?
Please, yeah, absolutely.
Hi, everyone.
And welcome. Yeah.
Yes, well, thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, EGM and councillors. As you know, my name is Melissa Donnelly. I'm Chair of Brand Gold Coast, and I'm joined today by our amazing CEO, Todd Babiak, to present our 5-year strategic plan to you this afternoon. It's just over 12 months since the board of Brand Gold Coast was appointed by council, and in many ways, this plan for me feels like a wonderful bookend to that 12-month period. When we were developing the plan, I actually reflected for quite a while that I've had the privilege over an incredibly long career, very long career, of seeing the emergence of brand. And not just companies, not just names of businesses, not just entities and institutions, but brand as what we would call an impact multiplier for enterprises, for institutions, and really importantly for communities. So what I know to be true, and this is backed by fairly rigorous evidence, is that vision and purpose and values are the oxygen of those brands, and they're reflected in how organisations and communities market themselves, how products and services are designed, how capital is invested, and most importantly, how we behave amongst ourselves and how we treat other people. And place brands are no different. The impact is measurable. A 2024 Bloom Consulting report found that the perception of a nation or city actually contributes 1% of global GDP. 1% of global GDP, and a city's reputation contributes between 22 and 30% of tourist receipts, of direct foreign investment and talent attraction. So what we're talking about is measurable and meaningful, and most importantly is that multiplier impact that we're looking for. And while we know that every city has a brand, very few manage those with intent, and fewer still with any sense of strategy. And that's what we're doing differently here on the Gold Coast. We're building a great strategy, and that begins with a magnetic story, a story that attracts people to this place and brand. And it's a unifying story, and it's been told to us by Gold Coasters. So Brand Gold Coast itself is purpose-built to serve that story. We are small, nimble, we're a city-owned entity, and we're operating to a client service model. We compete with no one, we exist to serve everyone. It's a small investment, if you like, in our economy and, importantly, the society that we're living in. And this is the core of the strategic plan that we're going to be presenting today, how we serve this place in the community. And I'm really excited about Todd's presentation to you to share that with you today.
Thank you, Melissa. Mr. Chair, councillors. Go Suga was born in Hiroshima, Japan, and his father, at a certain point, decided he wanted the family to be closer to nature. He wanted more freedom in their lives and less peer pressure, is what he said. So they moved to Australia, and Go, he started school here at Banoa State Primary when he was 9 years old. And initially, he didn't like the Gold Coast. He had left his friends behind. He wasn't fitting in around language. But in time, he started to have fun. He started to have too much fun, what he calls naughty fun. And he dropped out of school. And he was lost and a bit listless. And he thought, I've failed, so I should go back to Japan. That's where I belong. He went back to Japan, and he worked there for a while, but found the long commutes and what his father had diagnosed as a lack of freedom and too much peer pressure bothered him as well. So he came back to the Gold Coast. And initially he felt worse than ever. But one day his dad said something to him that stuck. He said, when I see you happy, you're drawing. Maybe there's a career in that for you. And Go thought, well, maybe there is, but I don't know what that is. So he went to TAFE. And when he got there, they said, yeah, there's a program. It's called graphic design. You could theoretically do that, but it's too late. The deadline's passed, and you would need to give us a portfolio. But they didn't say no. They said, here's what a portfolio is and how you'd build it. And, bring it to us maybe for the next intake. He really quickly went home and created a portfolio. He did what they said. He came back, he showed it to them. And even though the program had already started, they let him in. And immediately something started to change for him. The teachers spent extra time with him, taught him to use a computer. He ended up being the first to come in the morning, the last to leave at the end of the day. Go now calls these instructors his senseis, teaching him not only a career, but also how to be a Gold Coaster. They taught him to surf and many other things. And in the end, he graduated from this program, totally renewed, and started working. It wasn't hard to get a job. He had a few jobs, and even at these jobs, he felt something was a little bit missing. At one of them, he was quickly illustrating ads, newspaper ads for a community paper. And he was having to do them quickly. And in between, as the sales team was getting them all ready, in between, on the other side of the papers, he would just draw, he would doodle. And he was using aspects that he'd never done before. He was using color and his initial inspiration from manga, but he was just Japanese manga, but he was just playing. But in that playing, he realized he had a style, and that style that he developed in time was a mixture of that Japanese manga influence and Gold Coast nature, the Gold Coast spirit. And that's what he started to do. And in time, people really began to notice his work, and they hired him. And he was having commercial success. People wanted to use his work. And even then, as good as he felt about it, he felt something was still missing. He thought of himself potentially as an artist, but he didn't know what an artist was. So he had to go online and Google it. What's an artist? And it turned out what he needed was a body of work, a consistent body of work. So he just started to make a consistent body of work in his spare time, as he was also working as a commercial designer. And once he had a body of work, Google told him, you need a gallery. You need someone to support you, represent you. And so he looked around the Gold Coast and found what he thought was the top contemporary art gallery on the Gold Coast and even nationally for him was 19 Karen. And he just boldly sent a note to Terry Liu, who runs it, and said, I have this work I would like to show you. And she said, absolutely, I'll give you a chance. Why don't you come in and show me? But please, don't get your hopes up. In the end, she took him on, and he calls Terry his other sensei. He now has this international art career. He has patrons all over the world. And he's just recently had a solo show in New York, which was one of his dreams. And he says, this would not have been possible in Japan. You don't drop out of school and become an artist in Japan. It wouldn't be possible in any other city that I've ever learned about or know about. They would have said no to me ultimately at many times. But this city said yes to me, even though I'd made mistakes. It gave me second chances, third chances, and that's what the Gold Coast is all about. So we're going to tell Go's story. He'll be one of the stories we tell when we start ramping this up. And our strategy will be to tell that Gold Coast story, as Melissa said, Gold Coasters told us, but we'll be telling it through individuals, stories like Go's, really inspiring ones that hit this story so beautifully. And one of our board members, PJ Davis, he had been the CEO of Bunnings, and he really challenged us as we were working through what the strategy could look like to make it as simple as possible. Even if the work is complex, even if building a place brand, a unified cultural expression and strategy has a lot of complexity to it, none of our partners need to feel that complexity. It should be as simple as possible. So we came up with these 3 S words. Story is obvious, built by Gold Coasters. And then we want to teach everyone to do this, to use it, to bring it to life in a bottom-up way. And then that's how we can scale this work in time. An example of service will be, of course, we've done this qualitative, deep research with Gold Coasters. Now we have to make sure what are the gaps between what we feel about this place and where it can go and what the rest of Australia and the world feels about us. What are the gaps? What can we go after? What are our special opportunities? And what are some problems we need to solve here? So we will have this research in our toolkit, but we need to teach people how to use it. We don't want to make it boring. We want to make it fun. We want to make it light. So not only will people be able to use this and download it, but we want to go out there, do workshops, presentations to teach them how to use it in their own way, in their own work. And we know that what we have to do in these early years is hustle. We have to get out there. We can't just assume a pretty website and a toolkit is going to do it. We have to make sure that our partners in the city, in the other entities, in the business community, the artists, the social entrepreneurs, that they can use this and bring it to life to seize opportunities and solve problems, to really help them on a client service basis. In some cases, that might be writing their executive summary and helping them build their strategy so that it's as Gold Coast as can be. It means finding those early adopters who really need the Gold Coast brand to work well. An example is the tech community, going out with them and trying to understand how we can solve problems with and for them. They need this to work for both talent attraction and investment attraction. Our top line reputation isn't necessarily tech, but it's growing, and we need to help them do that elegantly and properly in a Gold Coast way. And we also have to just get out there and talk to businesses, help them understand how they can bring this to life in their own work, what we mean by brand partnership, and then how we can, business by business, start to bring this to life in time, to answer their hard questions and demystify the word brand as well. And we have to entertain locals with the story that we've heard from them. We have to tell this story back. Sometimes you need to hear a story a few times for it to sink into your heart. So we have to get out there and be that free, entertaining presenter, sometimes a workshop. We're going to run events so that there are lots of ways for us to reach people and in time attract them and seduce them to becoming partners and to use the Gold Coast brand as much as possible. And that begins with us. We want to make sure we're using the Gold Coast brand as directly and as honestly as possible. One of the things we heard when we were doing the interviews and the research with Gold Coasters is that sometimes you can have absolute experts, global experts in their field living here on the Gold Coast, but they're sometimes overlooked because they don't live in Sydney or Melbourne or New York or London. Sort of an old reputation for the Gold Coast. And Simon, our digital storyteller, when he went out, when we were going to need help to help build our look and feel, the design work we're going to be building, he was speaking to agencies on the Gold Coast and strategists, designers. They said the same thing. Even though they've had these international careers, they're here because they've chosen the Gold Coast. They're overlooked sometimes. And even Gold Coast businesses and organizations will go to Sydney or Melbourne first, if not something overseas, sometimes Brisbane. And so rather than hire one of these agencies, we are working with all of them. So we brought them together to co-create the look and feel we're going to run with. We did multiple sessions with them leading to a design sprint. And when we have a chance to show you this, you can see it's co-created by some of the Gold Coast's best thinkers. And this is something that we can say, this person or this organization didn't create it. Lots of Gold Coasters did create it. And we did have some partnership with Experience Gold Coast as well. Ultimately, this comes to life not so much in what you say, but what you do. And so projects will be another great way for us to scale our work. We're working already with Invest Gold Coast and Basmark, for example, on the Miami Arts District, on MAD. How can we make sure that the story of this project is really compelling, but also that it tells the Gold Coast story more broadly? And that's something we're just keen to do by listening and helping in our way takes something that could seem like a pretty cold corporate document and really make it sing with the Gold Coast story every time. We're doing the same with the Southport CBD project and anything that Invest Gold Coast is building with us as partners. We really want to help them. And on projects, what we want to do in time is make sure that whoever's building anything on the Gold Coast, whether it's responding to an opportunity or solving a problem, can they come to us and can we work with them on projects? Whether that's the big stuff like housing and transportation or the big opportunities like if we want to own the circular economy in the Southern Hemisphere, how do we do that in a unique, compelling Gold Coast way? And so that's our real plan in the future, is to be that lab that people come to. And the word help is probably the guiding verb for everything. We think this works best when it comes bottom up. We will need your leadership. We will need leaders to use this, of course, but we want to make sure it bubbles up this way. We began with Gold Coasters feeling a sense of ownership with this, and we want to encourage that into the future tactically as well. And so that the ultimate goal in 5 years is for everyone to understand how to answer that. We've spoken about this before, but for the Gold Coast to carry all these values, to carry that story here on the Gold Coast, but also with our audiences customers and future Gold Coasters who don't necessarily live here yet. So thank you so much for your time and attention, for reading the document. And we're really keen, Emily and I and Melissa, to answer any questions you might have.
That's wonderful. So wonderful, beautiful presentation, and very, very different approach, and it's I love it. Any questions there for Todd or for Melissa? Any comments for Todd or Melissa? Okay.
I will make a
Councillor
comment,
Gates.
and I want to say thank you, Todd. I received a very unexpected award last Friday night. So I was caught totally unaware, and I had to jump up and make a speech to a room of 450 people. And as part of that, I reflected on some conversations we'd had and the fact that things happen on the Gold Coast that don't happen anywhere else. And I was able to relate that it is a special place, a really special city where the unexpected does happen, and that it's full of opportunity. And I expressed that for me personally, the opportunities that I've had here on the Gold Coast would not have happened anywhere else. So it's part of the brand story that you've referred to today that I've been able to share as a result of our interaction. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor, through you, Chair. I really enjoyed our conversation. Congratulations on your award. But the great thing is, in time, if we all have kind of those example stories of Gold Coasters who've been able to do that again and again and again, I think it really helps us all too to get from here's what we think this place is all about, for example, and I think equipping all of you with that in time as we're telling these stories will make all of this more useful and elegant for us too. Thanks.
Sorry, I go to Council. I'll go along this way from my left to the right. I'll go to Councillor Martin.
Thanks, Chair. Thank you for the presentation. Todd, you've worked with a lot of cities around the world, so just really, I get so much optimism out of this presentation and the brand. Just wondering, how, through your work, how strong is the Gold Coast brand, and comparative to other cities that you've worked with, I guess, how, what's the opportunity and where does the Gold Coast sit and amongst the other brands of cities that you've worked with?
Through you, Chair, Councillor, I was terrified when I first arrived. When I was leaving where I was living in Tasmania, people told this superficial cliche story of the Gold Coast. They told me that I'm not a Gold Coast sort of person. And when I got here and I started doing the interviews, maybe by the 15th or the 20th, I realized there's something really consistent, really powerful, really unique. We are, and you all are aware of, and you've been reading the stories about Greater Brisbane, it's different here. And the way people tell the story of why they're on the Gold Coast, really meaningful, powerful, sometimes emotional stories of why they're here and how this place, this constantly changing place has changed their lives. It is different. The spirit and the energy, I think, certainly in the Australian context, there's not another city like it. The position that we have in a country that often, certainly where I was living previously, but more broadly, has a tendency to resist change and be fearful of it. To be that city where we can try things, where we can sometimes succeed, sometimes fail, but we're always going to push and to make people's lives better. I think it's a really special invitation. I can't think of another city, certainly in this continent, in this area, certainly in Australasia, that can own this. And then our sister and brother brands, maybe other cities, they would tend to be in North America. But we have things here that they don't have. So I think the position and the opportunity for this city is entirely globally unique and really special. And even some of the quantitative research we have, early research from brand finance, shows that.
Councillor Tozer.
Thanks. Yeah, I suppose I just want to start by just saying I love how you've told us today this idea of the human story. There's obviously lots of great, unique characteristics, physical characteristics about the city, but you've talked about the human story, and I think you did that really well in that when you started your presentation, you told a human story about that artist, and I think the way you present it, I have a great deal of confidence that as we kind of go through this process, we're going to draw those stories out, and I think you're a gifted communicator in that regard. So it's fun. A lot of people come in here with a pretty dry presentation, and we try the best, but it's just encouraging to see that you leading that, and I think that's exciting. One thing I did want to ask about is that, it occurs to me that lots of cities have stories, and they lots of like you talk about those is it People of New York or Humans of New York? There's a lot of brand stories that are about trying to define who the humans are who live in the city. How do you see us differentiating from those other kind of examples that have kind of used the humans of the city to define the identity of its metropolis or whatever?
Through you, Chair. That's a great question. I think storytelling for the sake of storytelling is pointless. And I think random storytelling is equally pointless.
Right.
It's nice to just hear stories. It makes us feel good. But we're going to be pretty bloody-minded about the kinds of stories we tell. We will be curating. Not everyone has a story that necessarily reflects the brand story of the Gold Coast. We certainly heard 80 to 85% of the people I spoke to told that story in a really personal way, and that's why we're moving toward it. But I think between the segmentation and the way we will speak to people who belong here, whether they're as customers or investors or tourists or students, we're going to find them and speak to them in a certain way, and we're going to tell Gold Coast stories in a Gold Coast way. And so I think that will be a big part of our strategy, and we're already talking about it as a team. Oh, that's a good Gold Coast story versus a story. So I suppose that's what we'll try to do is to narrow our focus a little bit so that the kinds of stories we tell, like Go's story, tells the Gold Coast story in a compelling way, and we'll want to do it in a way that doesn't feel like we're hitting the same notes again and again. So we'll be as careful and as creative as we can be with the kinds of stories we tell. It would be a danger, for example, to only talk about people who are fabulously successful on the Gold Coast. There are lots of modest successes on the Gold Coast that feel like a lot, and it's enough, and that's why I'm here. So we're going to be as careful and as creative as we can be about that, and I hope actually that in time as a reader or as a viewer of these stories, as a person who will begin telling them yourself in time, you'll start to see, oh, I see these themes coming through without it feeling like a cookie cutter approach.
So that probably leads me to the second question I had. You've shown us a few pictures and told us the story of Go today, and then you've just talked about these human stories they're going to involve. What sort of mediums are we going to use to communicate these stories? Are they going to be spoken word, or are they going to be pictorial stories, or are we employing a videographer or a cinematographer? What are we using to create this platform?
Yeah, through you, Chair. Great question, Councillor. Simon, our digital storyteller today, he's out there doing this very day. And we are working with Council on, we're inheriting one of their, for example, Instagram channels.
Okay.
And so obviously we're going to use social media. We don't have a big advertising budget, so social media is the easiest way to do that. So we're definitely going to use social media. We'll use all of them, even ones we don't yet know about yet. This is a changing landscape. We, of course, will have our website, but even the way people experience websites is changing so quickly. So we will have a repository of stories there, and that'll be an opportunity even in our toolkit and broadly on the story for you to, let's say you have a speaking engagement and you want to look for a couple. So to the point of, spoken word, you can grab that or reach out to us and say, I'm doing a talk tonight about X at this place. Do you have any good ones? And we can help you with that. So we do want to create a library of it. So certainly social media, we'll be doing it like this. We'll be talking to people, telling those stories. And the best way this works is at Christmas dinner of 2026, enough people have experienced these and they're learning about the Go Sugas and the Bellas and all of these people who we're learning about and talking about and whose stories we're building in time. They get that sense of pride. They just feel it. They can start sharing it with themselves too and get that sense that that's possible for me too, for my children, and even for those external audiences. So the platforms will be multiple, varied, and everything we can possibly jump on.
Okay. So the last question I had then is, you've led well into that, but how long will we tell those stories for to establish that a brand exists, or that we've achieved some sort of objective that we hoped for when we set out to establish brand Gold Coast? What does the timeline look like?
Through you, Chair, I think the storytelling counselor is I see it as forever work. So whatever this looks like, you kind of can't stop.
Yes.
So that's one thing. When will we know we're there? I suppose at a point where you don't need brand Gold Coast to tell you anymore, and you're starting to hear it back, and people who don't even know brand Gold Coast exists are expressing the brand. They're saying it, they're living it, they're doing it, and this organization has, while it continues to do that work, has really evolved into that lab who's helping you make decisions, helping you seize opportunities, doing that in really unique way, because you can't say yes to everything. You want to say yes to the Gold Coast things. The story work builds that understanding and that feeling. As Melissa said, it gives you that power, and then in time, we hope we build enough trust in the community and among leaders like you that you would come to us to say, I learned. I think I know enough about the Gold Coast brand, the Gold Coast story, that should we go after it in this way? And that's a time where we'll start feeling very happy because it's really starting to work.
Yeah. When you worked with New Zealand or Tasmania, how many years did it take before you kind of reached that point of, is it the point of self-perpetuation where it kind of starts running itself?
Yeah.
How long does it take? Or how long did it take?
Good question. Through you, Chair. I would say in Tasmania, we did have a pause because of COVID, and Tasmanians they don't say yes like you do. They're different. So there was a lot of reticence.
You're saying they say no a lot more, do they?
There's just a lot of reticence and a lot of skepticism that so far I'm not getting as much here. Gold Coasters are pretty ambitious. They want this, and they're seizing it already. So I'm seeing that it could be quicker here, but after 3 or 4 years, I just started to see, and the reason I left my job was I was at the board table with my team, or I'd be at a setting with a whole bunch of leaders, and they were just saying it back to me. The community was taking it, sometimes taking trademarked phrases and using them as their own, and you just realize, I think the part that I'm good at is done. So that was really special at kind of year 4, year 5. Okay. And then transitioning into that lab. But I hope it works faster here, just because everything does.
Okay. That's all I got. Thank you. Thanks, Todd.
I haven't got a smart question like the others. Look, I love what you do. I think the day that we spent together talking, I was like, I'm in the wrong game. I need to have this job. Where you get to just talk to people, like cool stories. I love when you're telling the stories. It's the best. That's like my ultimate goal, just to be a storyteller. But fantastic. I absolutely love the way of not forcing something in your face, but telling someone's story. I was fascinated because you all think your story is quite unique and original when you talk to people. And then when we spoke somewhere else and you said, no, about 85% of everyone I talk to has the same theme. I thought that was fascinating. So, yeah, look, great. I can't wait to sort of help and get those sort of messages out there. So, fantastic.
Thank you, Councillor. And just for all of you, through you, Chair, do get that sense that you can just, as we're starting to build our stuff in the toolkits there, become a partner and do just ask us. Truly, I think you're a natural, and for you to have a few of these, working with you to bring them to life all the time, you're going to have audiences and you're going to see people. You're going to be great brand partners just because of your job. So we'd love to work with you and help you in that way.
Councillor O'Neill.
Thanks, Chair. Thanks, Todd, for your presentation. I really like your 3S strategy, and I'm just leafing through this page 16, story builds meaning, service drives trust, scale delivers impact. And then when I turn over to 20 and you sort of explain those 3 S's, story, I think, is going to resonate with most residents and sectors of the city. do you see service as being one of the most challenging parts of that strategy? Because unless you get that right, you can't actually move on to even the scale part of it. So, are you envisaging a lot of challenges, or you've got a strategy in that service strategy to manage that? Because that can be the middle bit that's so hard.
Through you, Chair, Councillor, that's correct. You're right, and I think building that trust in the community is the trickiest part. We will offer free or nearly free, just so people show up, workshops a lot. Like, we're going to get out there and help with the service side, so people really begin to understand. And there's a bit of an exponential quality to it. We want early adopters to come to these workshops, whether they're businesses who want to build their own brand using the techniques of storytelling, or they want some advice on how do I bring this to life through social media channels, or we have HR concerns. How can we use the Gold Coast brand or the Gold Coast story in our HR strategies? So we'll be running those workshops, and we'll be responding to the business community, as well as our partners in the city and in the entities, to make sure that people are just using this, having fun, learning it, and bringing it to life, and seeing that there's real value in building their own brand stories and their own strategies, and then wrapping it in the Gold Coast brand story and strategy. That there is more value to it. Some of the quotations or the numbers that Melissa was talking about, they are real. They're real in the business community if you have a strong brand, and they're real, I think, for cities as well. And so I think we can marry those two together, never losing sight of the fact that this is built by and powered by Gold Coasters.
One other question. Do you see the universities playing a part in this?
Through you, Chair, Councillor, absolutely. Did a workshop with the senior leadership team of Griffith. They're really keen on this. They understand absolutely the drivers for young people. You can be a great university, but if there's no understanding of where that will be, if you're a parent or if you're a child, it's difficult to make that decision. So they absolutely see it, and their certainly communications team in the first instance is really keen, and then their strategy team as well. Similarly with Southern Cross, spoken to them, they're really keen to work with us. They're really keen to work with us even on projects down the road. They're keen between now and the Olympics, for example, and how do we bring this to life. And chasing Bond down as well. I think in some ways Bond will be the easiest to work with in some fashion, but this because they're just here. But absolutely, I think they, like our friends at Experience Gold Coast, they have a budget we don't have. And when they have an opportunity to tell their story, we would hope they're also telling the Gold Coast story for that sort of value circle. So absolutely, they're always really keen partners, right down to we'll write content for you for your website so that people understand how to answer why the Gold Coast. Thank you for the question.
I'm going to go back to Councillor Fowler, then Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chair, and through you, I think you've absolutely nailed the values. I think that it's probably the most powerful values that I've ever read when I'm thinking about it in the context. What's exciting, I think, really about those values is looking at it in application. So, one area of experience at the moment is obviously the international students and how that's unfortunately declined. And like some of these connotations, I think, are a really nice attraction piece for international students. Like, why wouldn't you want to come here and invest? It's not a secret. I think one of the biggest, even when that was an economic function within the city, having the brand story of what Invest is and that vehicle, the attraction piece in particular, in my mind has been a very missed opportunity, and this excites me. I love the unpretentious ambition, that whole sophisticated but in shorts and thongs if we like it just grabs it. So I think you've really nailed a lot of it, but in particular the values just stick really strong. So I'm looking forward to it. It's more a comment. My question is, so next step is the toolkit and putting this into practice. What's the time frame for that, and what does the next stage look like?
Through you, Chair. Thanks, Councillor. We have an RFP or RFQ running in the community. We're trying to go with Gold Coast talent on the people who will help us build our website. And we're even talking to Invest Gold Coast about, if we're building one, maybe we can create it so that the wireframes are easy enough and playful enough that we can mirror things off each other. So that's happening right now. In January, we'll start writing content and working with those folks who will help us on that back end. And yeah, we're hoping to show you some of the early look and feel that we're playing with as well. That kind of co-created design work that we've been building. We have to show our board next Thursday, so we'll see how that goes. And if our board is happy with it, we'll start testing it. But the tricky thing with that look and feel stuff, with all of this communication, is we can't launch it. We sort of can't plop it down on people. We have to be sneaky about it, and it has to sort of rise organically a little bit. And so we'll probably you'll see it first maybe in social media, and then it'll be on the website. And then rather than have a press conference, we've done this, we sort of want it to just be all over the place and people weren't sure where it came from, but it feels right. And then you can do that launch stuff. So our plan is, certainly before the end of this financial year, there will be a website. It'll have a toolkit. We're already talking to our toolkit software team, making sure the integrations are going to work really well. As I said, our digital storyteller Simon's out there getting content for our toolkit today. So it's happening, and can't give you a date necessarily, but we're on track. We're a little bit slowed down because we wanted to work with those 6 agencies, and we had multiple sessions with them. But I think that investment of time is going to be worth it in the end. It's actually a great story to tell that, here are the list of the agencies who helped build this together in a Gold Coast way. So we're really pleased that it worked out that way. Thanks.
Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, and thank you, Todd. And when I caught up with you, it was actually really powerful, because sometimes you don't think about your own story and where you come from. And I think from the Gold Coast, the caravan park was a casino back in Broadbeach, to see what we have here and to think through the characters that have helped build this city over the years, good, bad and indifference. It's created an amazing city. And after I left, I kept thinking more about other people that were in my life and how many people have been successful. But the other thing that's been really inspiring, particularly being in this role over the last 4 years and even recently, there's so many young people coming to our city that's coming from other parts of our city and even overseas, that are coming here for opportunities. And I'm seeing them create their own businesses, whether it's creating their own little product, or importing, or whether it's stock market. They just actually seem to be coming to the Gold Coast and starting in their own units and trying to create something. So I'm really interested in their story, part of what it looks like moving. We're a story that's come to where we are now, but there's a lot of young people, not necessarily young people, other people come to our city that are starting to tell their own story of what this city can do. And I'm just interested in how many people that you've actually interviewed that's been here the last 2, 3, even 12 months, and is their stories aligning to others?
Through you, Chair, absolutely. Councillor, thank you. In many ways, your story, your family's story, I think was what you're saying, is there's a new generation, and it is quite similar in its way. And in some ways, the entrepreneur story is the easiest one to tell, because we do have so many young people who are coming. And while we don't have 1,000 ASX listed large companies, we do have a lot of opportunities for people from here to build global companies. And we're seeing it, and I think Chair Melissa is seeing it in her work as well, that this is a place that has a spirit about it. This is a place that says yes. This is a place where the community is going to support you, and you're going to get that encouragement. Go's story, while he's an artist and an entrepreneur, in many ways is indicative of the city, where someone who in another place might say, you don't have the right pedigree, you don't have the right last name, you speak with a funny accent, you dropped out of school. No, 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 no. Here he's thriving. And here people are saying yes to him, giving him those opportunities. And he said, this could not have happened anywhere else. And for us to tell those stories, I think is powerful, meaningful, and most importantly, true.
Can I just follow up, just to show where we've come as a city, and I'm talking in sports perspective. If you don't follow the AFL and the draft system, we had 4 kids from the Gold Coast that got picked in the first round. That means the first 27 picks in the AFL. 10, 20, 30 years ago, we were struggling to get kids to compete in the competition. So in a sporting, last night just shows how far we've come in a sporting sense in one area. But I just wanted to highlight that happened last night. That is pretty powerful.
Hey, look, interesting question for everyone. How many people in the room, not just councillors, everyone in the room, how many people here are born and bred Gold Coasters? There we go. There's one. And there's one at the back there. Okay, so out of all of us and behind the glass there, only two of us. And I think that just sums everything up, doesn't it? We all bring something unique. The Gold Coast is something that brings people from everywhere, and everyone brings something new and unique to the table. And again, which just shows that we're open. It shows that, as Councillor Fowler said, when you look at these values, positive change, that's the way people say, yeah, great, there's opportunity here. People are open to my ideas. It's a little bit quirky, but it's, as you say, we've still got that sophistication, and that's what makes us such a unique city and puts us in such a powerful position. And I think, as Councillor Taylor just said, I think, and I often speak about this publicly, years ago, we were a two-industry town. It was development and it was tourism. And we've worked very hard over the last 25, 30 years to make sure that we can attract, instead of people coming here as God's waiting room, and that's what we used to be. People used to come here to retire. And now we're looking at diversifying the economy and giving those opportunities for young people. And they are choosing to come here now, and younger families are choosing to come here. And it is, our identity is very unique. And as I think as Councillor Fowler said, I think you've absolutely nailed it, Todd. So it's exciting, and it's uplifting, and it's a feel good. I think everyone feels good about what you're doing and where we're heading. So thanks so much, Todd. Thanks so much, Melissa. And I know it's all very young and embryonic at this point in time, but boy, oh boy, we're going places. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Thanks to all of you. It's really inspiring and special to be a part of this. Thanks to Melissa, and thanks to Emily, of course, as well. Thank you.
Thanks again. Thanks, Emily. Jeez. See you all. Thank you. Okay. All right, councillors. The recommendation is purely that I say purely that we endorse the brand Gold Coast 5-year place branding strategy provided in attachment 2. Do we have a mover for this? Councillor Tozer, seconded Councillor Marshall. Councillor Tozer, did you wish to speak to this?
All that's been said is sufficient.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, councillors. We will put the motion on the screen to the vote. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. Thanks so much. We do have 3 closed session presentations, one from Experience Gold Coast, their Q1 performance report, 2 from Invest Gold Coast, the Q1 performance report, and also the Neutex opportunity. We do need to move into closed session for the reasons on the screen, negotiations relating to a commercial matter involving the local government, for which public discussion would be likely to prejudice the interests of local government. So we need to move into close for Experience Gold Coast for that reason. So Councillor Gates and seconded Councillor Martin. Take the vote. All those in favour. That is carried. Thank you. And And we're back in open. All right. So we've had three items, as I explained before we went in, and the reasons why we needed to go into closed session. The first item, Experience Gold Coast, presentation of the Q1 performance report. So we've had a look at what they've been up to and what they've delivered to the city. Councillor Tozer, obviously we're very limited in what we can say with these, of course, because they're closed session items, but Councillor Tozer, is there anything you would like to share?
Sometimes quarters are good and sometimes quarters are challenging, and it's great that they report to us regularly.
Very good. All right.
I couldn't use the word profound. I should use profound. Sorry about that.
Okay, councillors, if anyone wants to add anything to that.
Was that vague enough for you?
Very vague. Okay, so councillors, we will take the vote. It's moved by Councillor Tozer, it's seconded by myself. All those in favour? That is carried. That's a unanimous decision. We will move to 7.2. 7.2 was Invest Gold Coast and presentation on Q1 performance report. There is a change to the officer recommendation in red, and I will go over to Councillor Fowler to move that motion and explain.
Thank you, Chair. So again, a lot of this was enclosed, so I won't be making comment on that Invest report. What we've added is just number 4, which that a standing agenda item be provided to this committee that addresses a high-level monthly work in progress update across all projects that Invest are working on with attached council resolutions, just for ease of councillors and staying up to date.
Terrific idea. As I say, happy to second that. Councillors, we're ready to take the vote. All those in favour, that is carried. Another unanimous vote. And the final item is 7.3. And 7.3, Invest Gold Coast Neutex opportunity. Councillor Gates.
Thank you, Chairman. And this is another one that has been considered enclosed and I feel certain is about to get the unanimous support of Council. It's a very exciting operation that I think is probably one of the best funding opportunities we've seen for some time, and one that we're all very eager to support within the Health and Knowledge Precinct. It doesn't only attract to the Health and Knowledge Precinct, but to the city as a whole, and really, really pleased to support this innovation here within our city.
Well said. That's seconded Councillor Fowler. We would take the vote. All those in favour? That is carried unanimously. And just before I close the meeting, it's the last committee meeting for the year, so I'd just like to thank all... What? They say it's the thought that counts. No, they say it's the thought that counts, and I thought about buying you a present. So that's, yeah. So thanks to all the committee members, and also to our EGM, to Paul for all your hard work. Also to Jodie, to Jen, to Cara and Anya sitting there behind the glass. Thanks so much for all your hard work and diligence and great delivery of service. So yeah, thanks everyone, and yeah, see you at full council. Oh, thank you.
Well chaired.
Oh.